Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Janine McGowan, and I design cross stitch as the blue flower. I think I forget to say that sometimes, and I'll get a message from someone saying that they've just found my Flosstube and they didn't know it was about cross stitch. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I like spending time with you all anyway, even if we're not talking about stitching. Although I mostly do this because I get to talk about stitching and I don't have much else that's worth talking about, I suppose. Although I'm going to launch right in with the weather. It's a beautiful day here in northern Nevada. We've had a lot of the same exciting weather that many of you have had, but I think we're on to the next stage, the next season, fairly comfortably now. It's a good reminder for me that life doesn't move in a straight line in anything, and why should the weather be any different? But I do think we're through probably the last frost. Time to get a lot of things into the ground. There are a lot of plants that are already waking up and going, so it's very exciting to see. And my back is feeling a lot better, so I can actually get out and work in the garden, which is a real treat. I'm very much enjoying that. Jumping right in, we have two stitching in actions this week, two wonderful submissions. The first is Winter Valentine, stitched by Amanda. She did this for her partner, and the finished product is hanging in his office. He loves blue, and so she swapped all of the blue in the designs, all of the green in the designs for blues, and I just love the way it came out. I love the changes, and I really love the finished product of this one. So thank you so much, Amanda, for sending that in. Next up, we have Gather with Joy, and this one is stitched by Elise. I want to make sure I get all this right. She actually tried 40 count on this one for the first time. The model was stitched on 40 count, although, as always, it's meant to be used on whatever fabric you like using. I like 40 count because it means I only have to use one thread to stitch with, and I'm not great with two. So that's why 40 count appeals to me tremendously. But I'm so glad that you tried it and enjoyed it, Elise. Although if you hadn't enjoyed it, I would have said switch back to what you like. She used all of the called fors on this one and had it framed by L&M Framing in Ohio. So thank you very much. I love the way that came out. Next up, Stash Spotlight. Gardening on my mind. Just this morning, we found that our carrot and onion seeds were sprouting. So the radishes were the first ones out of the gate. They popped right up, and they've been happy despite all the frost that we've had. But the carrots and onions today poked up their heads for the first time. So it seemed like a good time to talk about the garden sampler from Carriage House Samplings. I love this one. I love all of the different seasonal crops. I love the animals that have been worked in. I'm going to see if I can put it in front of me and get a better picture here. It's just such a fun design, so colorful, and it really, to me, speaks to that feeling that you get this time of year when it's just bursting with life and color and excitement. So, yeah. I'm not going to do it this year because it's the year of stitching greyhounds, but I think pretty soon. And I think I saw someone online working on it recently. I need to take a look for that, but I'm sure if you look it up, you can find lots of people doing fun versions of this one. So that's my Stash Spotlight. This week, the world around. My husband was just out working on the sprinklers this morning, and he was chatting with a lady who was visiting from Nebraska and talking about the wonderful things to see in this area. When I say that I'm from Nevada, a lot of people initially envision Vegas because it's the biggest city, and that's totally understandable. But as many of you know, I live in northern Nevada, not far from one of the most beautiful places in the world, which is Lake Tahoe. So I looked up a little bit about the lake to share with you, other than it's just beautiful, which is what I had mostly known up until now. So this is the largest alpine lake in America. It's actually sixth largest freshwater lake after all five of the Great Lakes, then Lake Tahoe. And it is truly an alpine lake. It's very high up. So it is higher than Denver, the mile-high city. It's, I think, around 6,000 feet. I meant to look. And the lake itself at its deepest point is over 1,600 feet deep. So if you put all of that water onto a surface the size of California, it would fill it up over a foot deep. It is a lot of water. Lake Tahoe is known for being blue, stunningly, gorgeously blue, not just surrounded by mountains and trees and beautiful vistas, but the lake itself is beautiful. And that blue color comes not just from the purity of the water, although it is incredibly pure, one of the most pure lakes in the world, but because of algae living in the water. One of the reasons the lake is so pure is that because of its large surface area and because there's so much precipitation there, 40% of the water that goes into the lake actually is precipitation that falls right on the surface of the lake. So it doesn't get any chance to pick up any contaminants on the way. And there is a lot of precipitation up there. You may have seen the photos from this past winter, which was admittedly unusual, but all of those dozens and dozens of feet of snow, a lot of that water fell right on the lake as well. There are over 65 tributaries that feed into the lake, but only one that comes out, and that is the Truckee River, which flows from Lake Tahoe through Reno. So if you go to downtown Reno, you'll see Lake Tahoe water, and it is on its way to Pyramid Lake, just a little bit from where I live. So it's a beautiful, beautiful lake. It straddles California and Nevada, so depending on where you are on the coastline, you might be in a different state. Let's see. The word Tahoe actually means big water in Washoe, and it was chosen as a tribute to the Washoe tribes, which summered in the Lake Tahoe area, going as far back in the archaeological record as 10,000 years ago. So huge, huge amount of history and human history up at that lake. So that's just a little tidbit. If you ever come to this area, I would highly encourage you to take some time, drive up to the lake, have lunch, and just enjoy this incredibly beautiful part of the world. So that's my world around. Questions. Last week I asked you about recommendations for what to do when I go to Calgary later this year. I'm so excited for that trip. I'm definitely going to be visiting Traditional Stitches, and I have a long list of other things to do and things to eat in Canada. I'm going to try a Tim Hortons. I'm not leaving Canada without trying a Tim Hortons, just to say that I've done it, but also lots of other good recommendations. I'm going to make sure I try poutine and butter tarts and anything else that you think of. Just keep those ideas coming. The question I have for you this week is actually about the Jingle Ball. And now that it's been announced, I'm going to be one of the designers for the Jingle Ball. Yay! I have also agreed to teach a class during that event. And so I wanted to hear from you. What sort of a class would you like to take? Would you like to learn how to do a biscornu? Would you like to do something totally fun and random? What appeals? So let me know your ideas so I can start planning for that and get it off to Stephanie so that she can finish making wonderful plans for Jingle Ball. And I do hope that a lot of you can join us at the Jingle Ball this year. It was so much fun last year, and I think this year is going to be even better. Best thing. Last weekend, after we cleaned the garage, there's a reason my back was sore. After we cleaned the garage, we put together a huge garden bed that we've been wanting to do for quite a while. And it's huge. It's 4 feet by 6 feet, and it's also 3 feet high. So the reason it's so tall is because of Rye, who likes to jump in garden beds. And unlike the others, this isn't behind a fence. So it's out on the other side of the house in a full sun area, and it's going to be a bed just for native plants for pollinators. So it's a big garden bed with lots of soil in it, and is soil all through the full depth of the garden bed because we wanted to let those plants get a really good root base so they can be pretty low maintenance going forward. But that is awesome because we have a lot of native starts out there already, and we have a lot of seeds. So I've got packets of seeds all over my cabinets here ready to go in after we finish up. I'm going to be out there with my marker, making little tags and marking the areas and hoping the quail don't eat all my seeds before they get a chance to go. But that's been the big excitement here to see those going in. And I certainly hope that later this year we'll have lots of great pictures of happy pollinators to share with you. Giveaway. Last video was this beautiful Lion and the Lamb chart from Kathy Barrick. We had people using the word lion in their comments, and the winner is Heather Ellis. So Heather, drop me a message with your mailing address and I will get that off in the mail to you. Now, giveaway this video is going to be, because I'm sending out new releases, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm going to pick 2 winners. If you use the word star in your comments, you'll get to pick any one of my charts, including the new releases. So go ahead and drop star in your comments, and I look forward to hearing from you. on to announcements then. I will have 2 releases coming out this summer, and I'll be sending out the email to shops this weekend with the full details, and then I'll have links and everything up on the website and talk a little bit more about them in the May newsletter, which will come out in another week or 2. So first one, you've seen this one. This is I was calling it Camping Sampler. Now I'll put in a picture. We'll talk about it a little bit too so you can see it a little bit better. But this one is now called Happy Campers. We had a lot of awesome name suggestions. Thank you all. And I'm going to go over some of the specifics. Starting up at the top here, these are actually my representations of Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, or the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, as you may know them. I was lucky enough to go to New Zealand a couple of times in my life, and I was so surprised the extent to which looking up at the stars and noticing different constellations felt bizarre. It was one of the biggest, like, you're in a different place moments, to think that you are seeing different stars, even though I'm not necessarily aware of the stars that I'm looking at all the time. You know, I know a couple that I can recognize, but seeing different ones was really a shock. And so it was fun to me to put some of the 2 that I know up at the top there. Now, we have a lot of trees in this sampler, a lot of stylized trees using traditional sampler motifs, but having a little fun. And up here we have a beaver and a porcupine. They're toasting marshmallows over a campfire. I had this great idea that I was going to toast marshmallows on sticks for the photograph, and my husband, he really hates marshmallows. I mean, really, they make him ill, just the thought. And so I didn't do that. I just used some branches from the yard to take the photograph, but I really wanted to do those marshmallows. Now over here we have a bighorn sheep and some plants that I've worked through here. We've got a camping lantern, a signpost with some different wording on it. We've got 2 different kinds of campers, and this building here is actually, several people commented on this. This was drawn kind of from my memories of what Forest Service buildings look like, but I think it might be a fairly common style because it reminded a lot of people of lodges and cabins that they'd been to. And I put a version of the American flag and just a little mountain flag. I tried to get the Canadian flag, but I couldn't quite make it fit in the space. So if someone does figure it out, let me know. I've got a moose over here. One of the times that I went camping as a child, we actually had a moose come running through the campground, and it was wild. That's a big animal. So we've got a little hummingbird, some more plants, a nice bee. Here we have a bear coming out of your tent, and we've got a fox and a dog taking a little canoe paddle. We've got some squirrels enjoying nuts at the picnic table with little lights up above. So that is Happy Campers, and that will be coming out in a couple of weeks, shipping out to shops. Also, this is time to release a set that I did for the Silver Needle a couple of years ago, and it just didn't get released last summer, so I'm doing it this summer. But this is a full set. The main design here is this stitching squirrels. There we go. So I'll get a better picture in here too. And we've got 2 squirrels. The inspiration for this one came from an old, like, faded velvet pincushion. And so I started with those colors, and there they are sitting on sort of tomato acorn pincushions. We've got a tree with little acorns wrapped in thread. We've got them learning how to stitch with their little hoops and needles. The set also comes with this basket here. Now the chart, I should say, all 3 of these are included. So it's a little acorn basket, and this one was made into a needle book, but certainly you could do whatever you wanted with it. Got little acorns and little squirrels. And then there's also this drum design. Let's see, acorns, gather and stitch, and all of those 3 come together. There's one more design for, it's not a biscorner, but it's like a big pin cushion, and that one is exclusive to the Silver Needle, so they'll be able to get that for you. But the other 3 are in one set of patterns, and I still haven't figured out how to post the instructions for all of the various finishing to the website, but I'm hoping to get that done this weekend as well. So those will both be coming out, and very soon, because it's summer almost. after all my whinging about no spring. It's time to release summer patterns. Anyway, so I'm excited about that. The other announcement this week is that Rye will be 3 years old tomorrow. So many of you have sort of journeyed along with us from Rye's puppy days and seen her growing up as we have. And so, yeah, she's becoming a dog. She's probably the most interesting, curious greyhound I've ever had. And yeah, we love her. So it's a big milestone for us. We have a little bit of an extra long puppy video this week. So that's it from me. I hope you have a lovely weekend. And I so appreciate your joining me today. So I look forward to hearing from you in 2 weeks. And I hope you really, really have a chance to do something fun today. Talk to you later. Bye.